Alright, got my 2005 crf450x. Gonna be putting it up for sale. I'm posting this video on YouTube. It's California street legal. I'll go through some of the parts of the bike. Obviously, being street legal, it's got turn signals. They're all LED, all DOT legal, front and rear. The whole light package and everything added to this bike is under 5 pounds, so it still really rides like a motocross bike, but it's got all the requirements. Little mirror here. This is how you turn the lights on. Just go ahead and turn the switch to on, and then it'll have what looks like a factory tail light, but it's slightly different. It's got a plate light down here. Just did the registration, obviously. Headlight only comes on when the bike is running, which is legal, so that's the way I did it. Here's left turn. You can actually see these lights in the dark from pretty far away. Here comes right. And all the lights have been certified by a brake and lamp inspection facility, one of the requirements. Also, horn, of course, only works when the key or when the on button is in that spot. We got high and low beam, which I'll show you later once the bike is running. I've added this Trail Tech Voyager, which is kind of an instrument cluster, but it's also got GPS, so you could see speed, tach, outside temperature. It's got the time. You can go under menu and actually go to several different things, but if we go to map, I don't have any save spots here, but this is where you could map out your ride, look at different recordings. It'll give you several things: compass, elevation, your battery voltage, engine coolant temperature. Also keep track of a stopwatch or lap times. Can do a lot of different things. Like I said, it is GPS. This bike, I added an ignition key, so when this key's off, you can't start the bike. Not kickstart or electric start, neither. I'm going to leave it on because I'm going to take it for a ride in a bit. Still got electric start and kick start, so just in case you can kick start it. But the battery's good. It's also got ASV levers, unbreakable, of course, both. Hand guards. Got a brand new set of Tusk Impact wheels, my favorite colors. I thought about taking these for one of my other bikes, but I'm just gonna leave it as is because it's really nice. Tires are brand new. You could tell just literally one ride on the tires. Brand new chain and sprockets. It's a DID too, so it's a good one. Also, one of the things is it's got a hydraulic brake switch right here, so when you step on the brake pedal hydraulically, it'll make the brake light come on. That meets the minimum requirement. It's also got a FMF pipe, which you can see is literally like brand new. It's got the forestry legal spark arrestor too, so it's all legit. A couple other odds and end things. Radiator braces is a must. Also got the oversized tank, which is clear or semi-clear. You can see it's got a little over half a tank. Tough to see on camera. It's got the smog block off, which is really a must to get these to run right. It's also been set up with a Tokyo Mods carburetor, which is sent out a few $100. Got a stack of receipts with this bike too. While I'm here, change it to on. You can see this is where it's actually tapped into the engine coolant temperature. The tach is actually tapped onto the coil, which is under the tank. You can't really see. All the wiring is routed with the factory wiring. It's all clean, all good. You could barely tell that this bike didn't come with all these lights. These are the major things. Of course, it's got a carbon fiber moose skid plate. Another must-have to protect this thing when you're really going off-road. Those are the majors. All original plastic, so you could see pretty clean. This bike doesn't have a lot of hours on it. They didn't come stock with an hour meter, but it's got an hour meter now. Since the hour meter was installed, got 5.7 hours on it, so very little time on this bike, especially since all this work was done. And then of course it's got, I think that these are fat bars, red anodized ones. Yeah, they are. They're not pro tapers, they're fat bars. And so those are the majors. I'm gonna put this camera in my helmet and take this thing out. Also, the seat is slightly shaved with still the factory cover on it. So if you're like me, anyone under 5'10", you're gonna want possibly a slightly lower seat. So here you go. Check it out. So runs good, of course. It's where it's meant to be, on the dirt. It's happy. Couple quick things. You can see the high beam and low beam work. Also, by design, one of the things I did, if you turn the switch to off, even if the bike's running the headlights off, then the last part of that is if you turn this switch to off, no lights on the bike whatsoever. No plate light, no tail lights, no brake lights, no nothing. So if you're going to be, let's say, riding off-road and you don't want lights, just turn them off, and they're all off. Those are the majors. The other thing was, you can see after all that riding, it's just barely hitting 200. So right now it's 90 something outside. So it doesn't overheat. It runs cool at its proper temperature. Of course, it runs good. You guys can see, solid bike for sure. It might be possibly one of the last that I do, maybe the last. I think this is the 6th. I've sold all of them for varying prices. They've gone all over the place. One out of state, a couple up by San Francisco, all over. So I'll put a link to the Craigslist ad. They usually sell pretty quick, but either way, I'll leave it up. A couple other little details. I get all kinds of questions about, where'd you get the kit? Where'd you get the kit? Where'd you get the kit? It's not a kit. So there are several different parts that I bought. That's why you can't find this kit, because it is no kit. These lights I buy separate. Pretty much everything comes from Rocky Mountain. Get the harness, get everything all separate. One thing that I do is when I wire these, you could barely tell down there possibly, everything is done with Japanese bullet connectors. I crimp them, solder them, use the slip-on insulators. So everything's soldered. If you buy a bike, you better be concerned about stuff kind of rattling loose and ended up with intermittent connections and all kinds of things. But not this one. It's not gonna happen. I've had my other street legal bikes for 2 years and they've got a bunch of miles on them, and I've had zero electrical problems whatsoever. And I attribute that mainly to everything being soldered. It's not gonna pull apart. So that's it. Check out the link.